Not now. You see, black doesn't have a decent plan as well, so this may give white some sort of inequality. F4 is played, so you see that's a little bit of a strategical blunder from white. I think that F4 is in favor of black. Now the exchange on E4 is happening. Yeah, and white already can take on E4 because of the C4 pawn loss. So now black has an extra pawn, but it's not going to be easy. So as you see, black just decides to, oh wow, that's a little trick. So black suppose that was predicting that white would take on E3 with the rook, but wasn't the case. Now white has an extra rook and win. I'll not say that it's well deserved, but she'll take it. So we'll take it as well. Yeah, d6, it takes f5. Yeah, this is already not competitive. Yeah, not even some stalemate ideas. So Fatality is 11th place now. Will be a little bit higher after this victory. Let's go to the Pinkamena game. Yeah, so she's playing against someone named Kill. E4, E5, knight f3, knight f6. So it's Petrov's defense. A Russian opening, as we call it in Russia. So d6, d4. Yeah. So now white has center. Yeah, now we can just safely castle. No exchange on c6. So white decides to ruin the structure a little bit. Plays bishop g5, bishop e7. This position looks familiar. I think maybe it's some sort of theory still. Castling, h3. This position favors white, I think. Of course, black has some counter chances like the open b file, and you see there are not so much pieces on the board, so this is some factor like for a draw, but knight takes e4 is played. This was some risky tactics, and it doesn't work as it usually happens when you make some risky tactics. So white will have an extra minor piece. Very good awareness for white, just counted all the variations and took this gamble and took it correctly. So now extra exchange. Bishop takes d6 can be played now. This will be a smart move. Yeah, that's it. That's the young talent at the work. Nice. One more piece, and that's why you have to think even when the move looks quite obvious, because sometimes you can find some surprising tactics. I mean, this was not difficult, but still, some players would just blindly play bishop takes b8. So now we have an extra exchange and minor and a pawn. So quite an advantage. Knight on d5 looks strong, but yeah, we still have the c pawn. It can like knock him away. a3 is played, knight c2. Rook c1 I think was strong because after knight takes a3, the knight on a3 was like not having just any moves. Was captured, but white plays it without any risk. Yeah, so just b4. So rook d8 is played. Oh, and that's a pin, and this is very. Oh, actually, this was some little trick from black. Wins the exchange back. The position is still one, I think. Oh, and after this move, this already might not be easy, and this is not a victory already. Oh no, it is. The c7 is played. How did this happen? This wasn't looking like a win. So yeah, Rook a8 already was a mistake, so c6 was straight winning. Sorry guys, I just see nothing. I think I have to warm up a little bit to give you some commentary with high quality. We'll work on it. Yeah, let's go back to Fatality game. I think this game is pretty much done. No, Fatality's game is done as well. So we'll watch the realization of an extra rook with 1 minute left. I think this is not going to be very difficult. h4 is played, h5 maybe. Yeah, king f5, king g6. It's just a matter of time, isn't it? So let's go back to Fatality game. Took the berserk again. So she's really liking just giving the time advantage to the opposing side. g6 is played. I don't really like the placing the bishop on g7 in this kind of pawn structure. I think that this bishop is not helpful if the game is opened on the queen side. Knight e5 is played, knight d7, h4, yeah. We maybe can think of h5. No, h5 is not looking very good. We don't have to play like this. Knight takes e5 is played, and h5. Fair enough. Now knight g4 can be played maybe, if we are looking for some exchanges. No, knight e8 is played instead. Nice move, because as we know, in the queen's pawn like structures of the queen's pawn opening, the d6 and the d3 are the best squares for knights. And so our knight is going to d6, and also we're just threatening the exchange. Queen c2 is played, so white has already started thinking about something like bishop takes g6 maybe. Of course, it's not working right now because it's just not enough resources. Queen d7 gives white opportunity to exchange on g7, play knight e5. That's the case. Queen goes to e6. f3 is played. Looking scary for black's bishop, but it's going to be fine. White castle queenside, and now the attack is on. g4 is played. White's attack looks a little bit faster, but what are the next moves? It will not be this easy to move the h5 knight away. King h7 is played. Now maybe rook g5 is possible. With the rook takes h5 threat. f4 is played instead. b4 now. I don't like black's position, to be honest. I think it's quite scary, but white had to play rook g5. I mean, white is wasting some time, and now you see black's queenside attack becomes a little bit more real. Maybe c5 was too fast. Black could have better take some time. Wait for a better opportunity. Play rook d8 at first, for example. Rook g5 is played, and knight g7 is surely a mistake. I think we should have played king h8, because now, yeah, h5 just... And this attack is just unstoppable. It looks like, at least. e6, this is already some sort of desperation, I would say. King h7, g takes f7 can be played, and queen h7. So now white is just counting the checkmate. Counted it wrong. Queen e2 is very weird. I don't know why would we just make this kind of move, but Fatality still has 7 seconds, and it's not looking possible, to be honest. Even despite all this waste, white still may checkmate, or maybe have some serious material advantage. White is really making some wrong moves, but it will not matter sort of in case of result, because 2 seconds left. This is just hopeless. Or is it? Rook e6 is played. Yeah, that's it. We just don't have enough time for this. So the next game of Fatality, Berserk once again, e4 is played, c5, knight f3, so the Sicilian opening, e6, d3. Maybe this will be some kind of like a King's Indian of like white's side variation. c3 is played, queen c2, so yeah, this is the usual sequence of moves. h6, knight e1, so yeah, knight is going away to let the pawn go to f4. So now white has some center. Knight g4 is played. Knight from d2 goes to f3. Wow. That's because we are defending from knight e3. Yeah. h3 is played. I just wonder if our knight on e1 is misplaced. But yeah, bishop h4 was really not looking pretty, and as it always happens when you make some bad looking move, it's often a blunder, and that's the case in this scenario. So now white has 2 minor pieces for the rook. For the skilled player like Fatality, this is a definite win, even despite having only 1 minute left. So let's just watch it and learn. Knight c2, yeah, so knight goes to d5. I think white can safely play c4, but yeah, she's just not rushing, so taking some time. Knight e3. Now knight will go to d5, or maybe it will not. Maybe we'll play knight d2, knight b1, knight c3, then knight d5. But yeah, decides just that any exchange is in our favor. That's kind of true. We just don't like to exchange rooks, to be honest. And if we don't do that, this is a safe victory. Yeah, so rook c1 is played. Now we can count b4, yeah. But is this too fast? I think that our knight on f3 is a little bit misplaced. And what is this move? Why not rook c8? This is looking weird. It's like a misclick. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the b4 move that white made, but still it worked, so who cares? Knight d2. Now knight will go to c4. Oh, black is playing rook a3, but I think at this point we usually don't like the rook exchange in this material situation, but I mean we just have too much extra pawns and it already doesn't matter. Bishop a4 can be played. No, just king d2, so we can play it as we like. Knight goes to e3 to let bishop the opportunity to go to e6, and bishop d5 will be fine. No, c8 queen is played instead. That's a little bit longer to win, but it's still relatively safe because, 22 seconds, that's enough. Some sort of a triangle from Fatality. Yeah, d5, king d6, and the checkmate. King d6. Why not? I mean, king d6 was much more pretty. King d6 and knight a5 and knight c6 checkmate. But once again, the win is a win, so who cares? So let's watch one Pinkamena game now. Usually, I meant usually when I just rotate to Pinkamena game, there is no material equality. It's never a material equality, but now I was about to say that we are lucky and the material was equal, but once again, it's not the case. And black has an extra minor piece and a relatively easy win. Knight takes a c3, bishop c5, but that's one more blunder, and I think at this point we're going back to fatality game. Oh, and in fatality game we have Berserk once again, and against the first place we're playing. The bishop on c8 is just struggling for some activity. This will be corrected soon if white plays knight takes d7. Yeah, and that's the case. I don't think that this was a good move, yeah, because now we play bishop takes d7. The next move is e5, and the bishop will become like from 0 to hero. a4 is played. You see, usually the action in the center matters more than the some flank moves. Oh, and this blunder was not necessary. I mean, we may still have a good position, but we just didn't have to give up the pawn like that. b5 is played, and this is a very strange move, yeah, because of rook a8. Surprisingly, it's working. Rook b8 is played. Rook b4. No, this is not looking good already. Our action on the king side, it mattered only because this was just attack on the king, and after the queen's exchange, this is nothing. Rook b7 is played. Yeah, we're losing because we can't even play rook b8 because of a5. White will still have to show some technique because we at least can play rook a5 and just let white make the move. So let's see if white can find it. I'll just play, I don't know, maybe h4. Just try to make white weaken a little bit. I don't like the g4 move because it gives some counter chances on the f file, so we can play rook a8, then rook f8. g5 is a mistake for sure. h3 is played, bishop d7. No. I think that the right plan is to play rook a8. At least so. I'm not saying that rook f8 is working. I just say that where we have to like scare white a little bit. Rook b2 is played. King c6. We actually are trying to eat the b6 pawn, but I don't think that it still leads to good position. And rook f2 is a nasty move because now, yeah, this forces us to take on b6, and after this exchange, we're certainly losing. We can't even play king takes a4 because of knight b6 check, and that was a blunder, but white didn't see it. Still will win the game, though. Too many extra pawns. King c4 is blundering the bishop, and that's it. Sadly, fatality is losing.
Нет, ну, а Яндекс Алиса как-то включилась. Как это убрать? Яндекс Алиса, где ты? Где? Вот. Какой-то перштамп. Нет, Лиза, подожди, подожди. Это все, я готова.
Oh wow, we have the ultimate derby, fatality against Pinkamena. So I know you're all here for this, so let's watch it. Place your bets and let's go.
Сразу у тебя есть шанс.
So
О, Fatality.
Pinkamena played bishop f5, then bishop g4. This is some nasty strats. Fatality is berserking as usual. Plays knight g3. Yeah, the bishop on g6 is just not having too much fun because it's just watching the e4 pawn that will never be moved away. So white is just taking the control of the white squares. This is funny. I'll play a4 just for memes, but no, knight d5 is played. So no memes now. We're playing for victory. So let's go. Knight d4 is played. Knight e2. You see, after all this, with every exchange, the positioning of the g6 bishop becomes even worse. But on the other hand, the g2 bishop is not placed very well as well. f4 is played, the exchange happens, and now also the dark squared bishop of white is just absolutely ruthless on b2. So just shooting all around the board. d5, e5 is played. So at least the bishop on g6 is a little bit more active now, but also this can be said about the g2 bishop as well. Rook goes to e1. f6 is played. I don't think that this is a nice move yet because of e6, and this is a pawn on e6 is not looking very safe, but even if it will be eaten at some point, yeah, it's already made his mark, and queen goes to e2.
Ты берсерк взяла.
Oh, actually, black has a nice position. You see, when we have you saw queens and rooks on the board, usually the positioning of the king matters the most. Not the pawns, but the king positioning. Rook e8 could be played now, with the threat of rook a1 check and bishop f4 checkmate. The bishop b1 is played instead, so some exchanges happen. Rook takes b7 can be played now. It was a blunder. Rook takes b7 and bishop d5 check. Then it was not seen, but black still has an extra pawn. Can play bishop d2. I think this will be the move. No, rook a7. This kind of move is just only child can make. I can safely say that. Rook c6, a5. Oh, a5 is a mistake because now the b6 pawn is just too strong. King g6 is just the king is misplaced on the king side for sure. Now white is winning, but white has 9 seconds. I think it's enough. I think it must be enough. Yeah, rook b3. And after this move, this is certainly enough. a2, yeah, rook a3. This is not going to be easy though. Rook a6, bishop d4. No, bishop e3 instead. g5, king g4. Let's go. Bishop takes g5. Do we have time? I think we have time. The exchange, yeah, 3 seconds is more than enough in this kind of position. Rook e6 might be a pre-move. No, rook takes f6 is a pre-move instead. What is white doing? But yeah, I mean, white is not even just wasting time because rook e7. That's fun. Not the prettiest of checkmates, but Fatality got this at the end of the day. And you see, she's 3-2 up in this derby, so a nice win. And we'll need Pinkamena to fight back in our next tournament. So let's now watch one Pinkamena game because we rarely have opportunity to watch her games from the start. You see, at least at the start of the game, the material is equal, so h6 is played. That's not the kind of the move that you can make when you're playing black and you're just in the opening. So you have to just try to castle as soon as possible, move your minor pieces. Instead, you can just make a move with a pawn like on the h file. It's not gonna cost black though in this game. Well, it's gonna cost a little bit because white has center and a little bit of an advantage. Not much though. Yeah, h3 is played, and now black could have played bishop takes f3, then knight e5 and knight takes c4. Goes knight bishop h5 instead. I don't like the positioning of the h5 bishop because once again it's cut off the action, so it's just stayed on the king side and can be helpful on the queen side. a6 is played, bishop f1 maybe could have played, no, or a4, knight d5 instead. The exchange is fine as well, yeah. Bishop goes to b3. Now we just can... Oh, and now bishop f6 can be played, actually. So knight d5 was not a good move. Now black wasted this opportunity, so we'll play bishop f6 now, but now it's not winning a pawn on b2. Now it's just an exchange. And you see, and this is like an ultimate position where we can just witness how useless the g6 bishop is. f5 is played, yeah, so that's the right idea, but maybe it's too late. Rook a to d1 can be played, no. Bishop g3 instead. Rook f6. Rook a might go to d1. Yeah. d5. c4 maybe. No, c4 is not working. Maybe because of d4. I'm not sure. Queen e8. This move looks scary. Maybe white could have counted bishop takes f6. Not the case. And now the b3 bishop is misplaced. So that's quite a turnaround. But we have the e file now. Bishop goes to g6. Rook e7. Yeah, our rook is much more active than black's rook. We can play rook a7 now and win a pawn, actually. Because, no, it's not winning a pawn because black still can play c5 and bishop takes c2 after bishop takes d5. Plays rook e6 instead, tries to create some active counter chances, but it's like the timing is off because, yeah, it just all went wrong for black. So let's go back to fatality game. Fatality is winning, having 2 extra pawns. f4, f5. Yeah, it's not going to be very difficult, is it? Knight will go to e4. Yeah, now we even take the g3 pawn. That's quite an easy win. No counter chances for black, for white. King c5, king b4, no, king c6 instead. Black even has time advantage despite taking berserk. Yeah, that's just some easy points. Bishop, knight c3 can be... No, knight c3 was a serious mistake. What am I saying? Knight d3 check, queen c1. Yeah, that's it. So fatality was 7th place. This opponent was relatively weak. So let's go. Now we're 6th place. And Fatality is playing against the same opponent who was 1st place recently. Now he is 2nd. Takes the berserk. Let's see if the opponent is a gentleman. No, he isn't. So we're playing with time disadvantage. It's a Karakan opening. Bishop f5 is played. I remember that, yeah, Fatality is just playing safe. Knight f3, bishop d3. I think last time she played bishop e2, but you see some difference. c4 is not good. I can say it for sure. f5, exchange. Yeah, queen goes to c2 to just give the b1 knight opportunity to develop on d2. Rook goes to e1, and the only factor in this position is a weak pawn on e6, and the only counter chance for black is the open f file. Black decides to play e5, but that's the problem. That's why the c4 was a mistake, because now we just got rid of one weak pawn, but now we have the other on d5. Bishop e3 is a strange move. I would prefer knight f3 for sure. Now it's, yeah, maybe knight g4 was the threat. Also, the h2 pawn was hanging, so we played h3, knight f3, knight goes to d4, queen d7. So yeah, defense at b5 pawn. f3 is strange. Why are we weakening the king side this much? Queen c7 can be played, or h6, knight h5. So black has a lot of nice moves. I think black wasted some momentum because now I don't see the attack coming. The king on the f1 will be very safe. Yeah, white can safely exchange queens and have a little bit of an advantage on this endgame, because essentially white has an extra pawn on the king side. Knight d7 is played, f4, yeah, some space advantage. Knight goes to c5, and now knight d3 can be threatening. So we're playing p3. Knight e4 and bishop e1, yeah. So our bishop on e1 just counters the e4 knight, despite this positioning of the bishop looking relatively passive, but it's not actually that serious. So you see the bishop does a very good job of like countering black's knight. Now knight c1 may be threatening. Oh, black played bishop knight f2. Oh, black is playing time actually. It's looking like it. Oh, and we blundered the h3 pawn. That's not very good. Knight f2. So black's knight has done his dirty job. Some weird maneuver to eat an extra pawn on h3. For some reason, black decided not to eat the g4 pawn, and white decided not to defend it for some reason. King d6 is played, knight e2, g5, a4, no, knight g3 instead, knight e5. Oh wow, this may be, this may give white some chances. But yeah, the pawn endgame is lost, I think. It's a safe call to play king takes g7. Knight f3 instead, for some reason. Knight g3. So once again, it's not a very strong game from black, but we'll still got the result. That's sad. Maybe we can just make something because of the time. Knight takes on c3. White is trying her best. I mean, is this enough? No, it isn't. 9 seconds for the difference in this game. White still did a nice job. She was having a berserk. The opponent wasn't. So let's go to Pinkamena game. Black already has a perpetual check opportunity, but will not take it because the position is very dominant. F5 is played. E takes f5. Now queen h2 check can be played. Then rook takes f5, but it still doesn't lead to a checkmate. So maybe white is fine. Now just can take on f5 safely. Yeah. Play bishop f3. Yeah. So it's still competitive. Bishop d4 check is played. Now bishop e5 can be played if black wants draw. No, rook e8 instead. Now maybe knight e2 can be played. Bishop d5 instead. Knight e2 is not working now because of queen f2. Bishop goes back to f3. So giving the move to black. That's the decision. King goes to g1. Black's problem in this position is that the a6 bishop is not helping at all. So if white managed to play knight e2, it will be fine. Oh, this is actually very scary. Now bishop d4 can be played, and I don't see the defense here after this. So let's just hope that black will not find it. Queen h1 is not winning though because of king f2, bishop d4, and king g3. Bishop g3 is also winning. Bishop g3 is even better, yeah. That's sad. At least we can play knight e4, so... Oh, but after knight e4 we are losing minor piece, and then after queen h1 check and queen takes b1 we're also losing a rook. So the game will be done, but black has 21 seconds. d5 is played. What is this move? Why? Very strange. Even knight takes g3 could have been played. This was not winning even. I don't get the reason why black would do that. Now even after just blundering the rook with a check, black is still winning and winning fast. It's a one move checkmate. So the only way to waste some time is to play queen g6 check. Yeah, I don't think that black will think on this decision 11 seconds. Yeah, checkmate. So let's go to fatality game. The fatality game is drawn already. So I'm just unlucky with my timings. So this was some rook ending. So fatality takes berserk once again. Still plays g6 and bishop g7. I'm not quite sure about this being very good, as I already said. Knight goes to e7. A weird place for knight to be as well. So you see the strategical idea of black in this position. So black exchanges the white squared bishop and then just makes this like house pawn structure. So if bishop was on c8, it will be just useless. You can see this in most of Pinkamena's game. So Fatality is playing a little bit smarter, just exchanging the bishop first. But once again, two bishops is still an advantage. We have a Carlsbad pawn structure here. Usually happens in the Queen's Gambit declined. The meta of this position for white, as I mentioned many times before, that is just playing b4, b5, trying to just create a weakness on the queen side. And black's usual counterplay is just some activity on the king side. Placing knight on e4, yeah, that's the usual maneuver. Now f takes e4. Now the f file is opened. And you see, white didn't manage to make some plan work. On the other hand, black already made all the necessary moves. Rook f6 is played for some reason. I don't get it. Queen a3. We can just exchange, I think. Queen f7 is played. So we give up the a7 pawn, but it can't be taken because of bishop takes e3. Yeah. Queen f7 is a nice move. So now white has to just defend the e3 pawn and can't think of anything else. Now bishop h4 is a possibility, and h5 is just winning a bishop. So rook e2 is a very unfortunate blunder. We still had a bishop h4 idea, so see, we didn't just get lucky, so we had some plan. Now the g file is also open, so we can play queen g6, rook g8, rook f3, just anything we want. Rook g8 is played, yeah. G3, and we just can take on g3 without even counting, I think. And we'll just have an extra pawn in the pawn endgame. Rook f3 was also good. Rook f3 is good now, I think. Bishop takes g3 is winning, yeah. So just queen takes h3, yeah, and that's it. Queen takes f1, checkmate. So nice game from Fatality. White didn't play very well. One more Fatality game here, 8th place. One more Berserk, let's go. e4 is played. e5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop c4, bishop c5. So the some sort of an Italian game, Italian opening. Oh, we're castling. I don't think that white is really looking for some serious opening advantage. So just developing pieces. See, when you have like 1.5 minutes from the start, uh, I think it's a safe call just to develop pieces and hope for best. G4 can be played, I think. Oh, bishop takes f3. I don't think that white counted this move, but it's not a very serious problem. So black, of course, black will have a slight advantage on the end game, but not a huge one. So it's fine. Rook g1 is a nice move. So now king will go to e2 maybe. No, instead goes king h2. I don't like this idea, to be honest. King goes to g2. Yeah, and goes to f1. So is it like Fatality just heard what I just said? Of course, it's not possible. We're in different rooms. So rook goes to h6, rook h1. Yeah. Rook g6, rook g1. So this exchange is good for white because black's rook on h6 was just threatening, attacking the pawn. Now it's gone, and the h3 pawn that was weak now looks relatively safe. G5 is not a good move because now white always has an idea of playing h4. I think right now is the best opportunity. Yeah, that's it. h4 is played. Rook g8, I think, is a safe move. Yeah. Maybe rook g1. Yeah, h6. We'll not force the action, so we'll just stay here. Oh, I don't think that exchange is fine. I would not do that. Because, yeah, now black will play h5 and have a passed pawn. We have to play b3 and a4 as fast as possible. And Fatality just don't do that. She actually does a much better decision. After rook g1, it will be a victorious endgame. No, why? No, rook g1 was just winning right now. No, that's so unfortunate. And now we don't have this kind of an advantage. So Fatality found a really impressive plan by rook f1, king f1, and rook g1, but wasted one move and it's all gone wrong. Oh no, and we even took with a rook on a4. This was a serious mistake. No, we just had an advantage. Even after just missing this winning opportunity, we had a little bit of an advantage, and now White's position is lost, I think. At least it's worse. No. We had to play rook h3 once again. We just have to do it. d5 is a very weird move. Once again, we should have exchanged on d5. Guys, it's like watching a car crash, but you can't look away. No. King goes to h4, rook a8 check can be played now. Rook g8 instead. Black is playing really bad, but white is not using these opportunities. b6. No. And now I think it's just a safe win for black. Rook b1, rook b1, no! No, black even gave white some more chances, but sorry for me being this emotional, but this is really just a hurt in my eyes to watch this. Also, white lost, and this is very sad. You see, that's what I'm talking about. Just young players are usually not so good at end games, sadly. d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6. Yeah, so developing pieces. I just hope that Fatality is not tilted right now, because I would be tilted after this kind of a game, to be honest. One more Berserk against a decent opponent. Has more than 2k rating. c5, knight c6. Black's position is fine, yeah. Oh, this exchange is not good for white. This is actually a huge mistake. Because now there was a plan of king g7, rook h8, and all this. Well, let's go watch Pinkamena's game. Let's give her a chance. It's double berserk. We can't miss that. So it's Queen's Gambit declined, the exchange variation. I like to play this for the both sides, so kind of an expert here. Knight e2 is a like aggressive plan. So the idea is to play f3, e4. b6 is not a good move for sure. It's like an orthodox variation, but it's already like it was played, I think, like 100 years ago, but now it's not thought to be decent. Oh, and blunder for Pinkamena. So yeah, we're having a rough time. Well, maybe we can use our time advantage of like 7 seconds, if this even matters. Bishop f5. So let's give Pinkamena a chance. Yeah, let's watch this game till the end. I'm still believing. c5, e4. Change on d4. Yeah, that's just too many open files. I think it's not good in terms of like wasting time. Knight c5. Queen e3 will be played now. No, queen b1 instead. Knight h5, maybe create some chances. No, f takes e4. Bishop takes e4. Some exchanges going on. At least the king is weakened. So maybe we can rook c5, for example. No, Pinkamena is exchanging. That's not a nice strategy when you're playing time. Black should have played rook e5, bishop c5, and like pray for the rook h5 checkmate blunder. Sometimes it works in any level of competition. e5, knight d5. No, she's exchanging too much. You can't do that. And oh, rook d1 also. Well, still white has 22 seconds. Maybe. Oh, and we blundered the checkmate. Oh, rook b8 is a checkmate. g6, yeah, nice. Rook b8, king g7, queen a8 can be played. No, rook b5 instead. Well, white has 16 seconds. I think you can't win when you don't have the 2K rating. I think it's not a win with 12 seconds. So we can just play time and hope. I think we just have to play g5 and king g6 and try to go away. h5 now. No, g5. Queen takes. Oh no, we had to play g5 just some moves before. Well, it was still relatively close, so. So let's go back to Fatality game. Fatality is having a good time. This endgame looks very promising. Bishop goes to e3. That was a mistake. Rook e2 should have been played. And also this is a huge mistake when you have 13 seconds. But the opponent is lowest end time as well. And the opponent was not taking berserk, so this means that the opponent is slow. We can safely win this game. Rook e1 can be played. No, a5. King takes a4. No, g takes f4. So I think that the positioning evaluation doesn't matter at this point. So we're just playing time, and Fatality is good at it, as well know. This is a win. So Fatality was ninth place. Now she will be eighth, maybe. Let's go.
Все, кто смотрит это. Ты красавчик,
So let's watch Pinkamena's game. Fatality game is not starting, so yeah, exchange on e5. Oh, actually, the material is relatively equal. Only 2 extra pawns. I think in terms of like what we have usually, this is relatively equal. a5 is played. We can maybe think about bishop f3. Yeah, that's a move. Rook c8. Bishop b7 was fine. Bishop b7 and c6, but no, we played c6 instead. This might be even better. Bishop d6, rook a7. Yeah, rook a7 is played. Bishop takes a2. We can play rook takes a5. Yeah, that's it. Bishop c5 is nice, I think. We have to be looking for some exchanges. Rook d1 is played instead. Bishop b4. Yeah, rook is going to b5. We'll still have to show some technique. We can play maybe bishop d4, using the fact that the rook on d1 is defended, and there will be no rook d8. No, rook c5, rook b5. So, and now bishop d4. Let's go. Oh, bishop h6 is played. Bishop g7. For some reason, black likes to defend bishops, but I don't think that it really favors black. Rook goes to b7. Now we'll have to just try to move our king closer to the c6 pawn, and it will be fine. Black exchanged rooks, and I think exchanging rooks is not good for sure. I'll just not play c7 because I think that gives black some chances. h4 now. We have to play h4. No, king f4 instead. This gives black opportunity to play g5. King e4, g4. Can exchange. bishop can go to e2. Well, I'm scared now. I think black has some counter chances. No, we had to play king f4 now. And king d5, maybe it's still good. Oh, and bishop takes g4 is nice. Now the pawn is promoting. That's it. Black plays rook e8. Now we just play c8. Oh, rook b8 maybe is even stronger. You just don't really count these kind of moves in the blitz game, but it's strong. So nice one, Pinkamena. Bishop b3 check. King d4 can be played. Yeah, that's it. So no checks now for black. So it's done. Let's go watch Fatality game. Fatality games are mostly competitive, so some exchanges going on, and black will have an extra pawn, but there are different colored bishops. This is always a factor for a draw. Rook goes to c7. It's trapped, so we'll not win it, but we'll trap it for an exchange. Oh, and white blundered the knight. This is helpful when you have 43 seconds. Rook a1, and you see the d1 bishop is in danger as well. I would maybe play knight d4, but black is not scared. Black is actually trying to... What? Oh no, why? Why not king e8? We were trapping the rook. This is weird. I don't get it. King f7. The position is still one. I mean, why? Why did we do that? Rook b4, knight e7 goes to c6, yeah. King g6. Now we can just play bishop f8 and bishop b4, I think. That's the safest call. Oh, white is preventing this. Just blundering the rook. We didn't take the rook. Some weak moves in a row. Knight c4. So black is not playing very strong, but that's because she was already playing time and she's tired as well. We are more than 1 hour into action. You see, I am tired. And what can we say about the players? If you watch the tournaments in the Wednesday and Sunday, you maybe have noticed that the quality of the games is descending with the time. So going to Pinkamena game once again. The opponent has an extra minor piece and a lot of extra time and some extra rating as well. Yeah, knight e6 is winning. Should take queen takes g6, now queen g7, bishop g6, and it's checkmate. But I bet white will not play bishop g6. He'll play queen takes h8. No, I was wrong. Bishop g6 is played, and it's checkmate. So let's go. The fatality game now. Rook c1, bishop takes h2. Wow, white blundered the pawn, but I mean, maybe it was not even a blunder, maybe it was a sacrifice. Because we have some development advantage. f4 is played. Now maybe c4 could be played. c4, let's go. Or maybe bishop takes b5 check, then knight takes b5, then knight takes d6, then c4. I think this was working, but white decided otherwise, played bishop f3. Maybe it's still nice. So now the rook is attacked and has to go to a7, and now a lot of tactics can be counted. So the rook is hanging. The bishop on e3 is just looking. f5 is played. Black will certainly play e5, yeah. And now we can think about something tricky. Maybe, I don't know, maybe knight e6? Maybe f5 was just not this strong. Maybe c4 was better. Knight e6 is played. Yeah, let's go. I don't actually see if this is winning, but this is at least it's looking correct. We'll have an advantage after f takes e6, bishop takes a7, queen takes a7, f takes e6. So black will have a little bit of a material advantage, but just no castling opportunities ever. So, and the pieces are just desperate to develop. So the knight on b8 just has no moves. I'm sure that white's position is victorious here. Maybe rook f8 will be played, but we can just respond with queen g4, for example, or queen d5, or just anything. Queen e7 is played. Now we just have to not blunder queen h4 check. Queen d5 gives black opportunity to make this check, and then play queen d4 check. This is not too good, but maybe we'll still have a winning position, but I don't think that queen d5 was actually the best move that we can manage to find. I think queen g4 was better. Yeah, the exchange happens, but now we can play rook f7, for example. Yeah, that's it. Bishop e7 maybe will be played. No, bishop e5 instead. Now we can play rook e1. Or maybe not. Rook e1 maybe will be met by knight c6, so maybe we can find something better. No, rook e1 is played. So let's go. Bishop f6. Bishop f6. Now rook c7. So we're... Oh, wow, castling. Black had a castling opportunity, but it's not working because... No, it is working, though. I thought that we can play rook c8, but rook c8 will be met by a stunning move, king f7. Let's see if black can find it. Oh, black can. That's unfortunate. And now black's position is even better. The only the only factor that we have in our favor is that knight on b8 is just an absolute trash. But it will be corrected soon, and black's position is better. At least we have some time advantage. And this win is not going to be very easy for black, I would say. Rook a7. Bishop c5. Wow. Why did black give up this pawn? Now white's position is better, I think. Rook a7, rook b7. And I don't see how the pawn on b5 is going to be defended. Black has a really rough time in the end game. Knight d6 is... Don't blunder knight d6. Please. Rook b7, yeah. Knight d6 is still on the cards. King d3 is played. Yeah, that's safe. Now b5. Nice, nice. Good job. Good job, Fatality. That's it. Now b6. Let's go. Rook b6 instead, for some reason. Rook b7. Knight b1, b6. Let's go. Rook f7 check. Oh, the check was not good though. b7. Yeah, that's it. That's it. b8 queen. Nice. 16 seconds. Let's go. It's enough. Rook b5 check. Nice. King e4. No, rook b7. So we are winning the pawn. Second one. Even giving a check. That's nice. We're wasting some time for black. Now we can just take on c6 and now we are safe. We are not losing this game. Okay, we can only win, and we will, because black even resigns because white just has too much time. 8 seconds against 0 seconds. Nice one. So back to Pinkamena game. Rook a4. The opponent is trying to get some revenge, maybe. Rook d3 is a blunder of knight f4. No. And knight takes b4 also. No. Rook a8. Rook d3. Knight takes b4 now could be played. No, it's not found. So some series of blunders for both opponents. Knight goes to f3. g5. Knight d2 can be played. Knight d2, let's go. And knight will rotate to d6. Knight goes to d4 for some reason. I just don't get where is it going. So we're defending the a3 pawn, but knight takes b4 can still be played. So it's not working. But black just don't see it. Doesn't see it, I mean. Okay, fate, knight e3, knight takes b4 still can be played. So white is just like forcing black to find this move, but black don't find it. Knight takes d4. Rook f6 check. Rook f6 check, let's go. Now rook d6. Nice. So the rook just sneaked inside the back lines. Black's position. Rook d7, yeah, that's it. Oh, rook takes a3 is not a good move because of e6 now. Let's go. No, e6 can be played. No, she didn't see this move. Why? Why? Rook c7. Let's go. Rook c7. King g6 will be played now. No, king f8. That's weird. Rook b7 now. Yeah, that's safe. Rook takes b4, then d4. Yeah, it's a draw. But we have more time, so let's go. Rook d6, rook d3. We'll just win on time. Just don't think, Pinkamena, don't think. Moves doesn't matter at this point. We just have to play time. Rook a7, rook a3, rook g3. So just place the pieces safe. Just it will give you opportunity to play fast. No, she's playing slow. But black is playing even slower. And so we got this win. Oh, these girls just giving me a heart attack. Why can't just they? Why can't they just win safely and just have to make the old man's heart beat faster? King f3, bishop g4 check. What? That was a very strange blunder. So we see some desperation in the fatality game. Yeah, it's not looking good. 16 seconds and an extra rook for white. So fatality resigns and has the last chance to fight for some rankings. So let's go. Let's go. Last one, last game. We have 6 minutes. That's enough, definitely. Fatality is even taking some berserks, so let's go. We're playing black. The opponent just 3-1 napping fatality. So it's not going to be easy, but fatality didn't take the berserk, so she understands that this is the last game, so we don't have to play berserk. We'll definitely have time to finish it, so and we'll definitely not have time to finish one more game. So why risk it? Let's go. Let's just win skilled opponent. E5 is played. That's nice. C5 can be played now. F5 instead. Well, c5 is the usual maneuver, so maybe queen e7. Well, c5 is played because if black don't do that, so white has an idea of playing c5 themselves. Queen e7.
Я здесь. Папа, можно мне
М.
25 минут?
Rook d1. Bishop e4. Oh wow, this is a blunder. Bishop takes d3 and e4 now. Let's go. So let's go. We have an extra minor piece and a lot of time. If white resigns now, we'll even have time for a next game. But white is not resigning. f4 can be played now. Yeah, let's go. f4 is played.
Участник?
Now we'll take on e3 and play bishop h6 and play rook a to e8. Rook d3 is played. Bishop h6 can be counted. But maybe f takes e3 is better. Yeah, f takes e3 is better because white can't take with the rook because the rook on b1 is hanging. f3 is also can be played. f3 is even better, yeah. Yeah, that's it. And bishop on h2 is just useless trash. Rook takes f3 now. What's the next move? Bishop g3 has to be played. We'll go rook a to f8, I think. Why not? Yeah, that's the move.
Папа, помоги, пожалуйста. Мне какая-то штука понравилась. Куда нажимать?
Rook goes to b3. Now maybe knight f6 and knight h5. I think that's the safest call in this position. Oh, white resigns. Maybe we have time for one more game.
Он был прекрасный, здесь. Он сейчас смотрит это видео и подписался.
So guys, if you're wondering what's my rating, I would say that I have 2400 in the classical games. It's in the blitz and the rapid games I'm just a little bit weaker, so I have maybe like 2200. And in lichess I have 2700, if you're wondering. So maybe one more game. No. So let's just stick with Pinkamena game. We have
Кстати, это может быть моя
4 minutes left if the game goes to distance. But we have a little bit more than 3 minutes left. Oh no, let's go to Fatality game. Double berserk. She definitely has time. D takes c5, b3, bishop goes to b2, knight 4, knight d2, so some exchanges. Queen goes to b6. We play e3, maybe. Oh wow, bishop takes e3. It's not working. Knight takes e4 could be played. No, white didn't see it. The exchange happens, and it favors black for sure. 2 pawns, but it's not favoring black too much. So we have a rook and 2 pawns for 2 minor pieces. It's fine. But yeah, without queens, I mean, black definitely has an advantage, but not a huge one. Rook e2 can be played. No, king f3 instead. b5. Knight d6, I think, is not going to work. I think we have to play maybe knight e3 instead. Knight d6 is played. Rook c2. Knight maybe can take on b5. I'm not sure. Rook takes a2. h4 maybe. Bishop d4 instead. a6. Oh no, it was a blunder. Maybe we can play knight c3 though. Or bishop b6, yeah. Rook b8 and knight c3 now. Let's go. It's fine. Knight c3, yeah. Rook takes h2. Bishop a5 maybe. No, bishop d4 even is played. h5. Well, now our position is definitely lost, but we still can fancy some chances. Rook takes a6, rook d2, king e3 can be played. King e3, let's go. King e4 instead. Rook a7. Rook c8, let's go. Rook c8, just defend the knight. Knight goes to a4, rook takes g3. Oh, now we can be checkmated. It looks threatening. f5 is not a good move. There will not be a checkmate, but we had to play king e5 instead. King d3 is played, rook h2. The opponent has too much time, I think, and we have only 11 seconds. No, it's open wrong. There is an h6 move
Я
for the king.
выигрываю.
That's unfortunate. Maybe at least we'll have a draw, but we want.
Спасибо, пацан, ты сдался. Все, турнир.
Yeah, that's rough.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, at least Pinkamena had time to win her game. So I think we are done. So let's go. Let's watch the rankings now. So some games are still going on. We have 24 seconds. Oh, Aladdin won the tournament. I think you know this guy. So that's a nice win for him. Good job. Fatality is 8th place now. With 2 seconds left, I think she secures it. Yeah, 8th place for Fatality. And Pinkamena is... No, and Pinkamena is far away. She's 33rd place. Well, congratulations to Aladdin. Nice tournament for both our young talents, Fatality and Pinkamena. So they have to work on some aspects. I think the end game is the first one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next Monday. So don't miss it. So turn on some notifications, subscribe. See you.
Слушай, ну там какие-то вот это вот, какой там Антон 16:07 выпущает, где-нибудь там тоже. Постоянно у нас играет, он в прошлый раз играл. Все, скажи всем good night.
Good night.
Скажи